Happy spring, girls! Wait, where'd they go? Not again. Maybe you guys have just gotten bees or thinking about getting bees this spring. So today's video we're going to be covering the top 10 mistakes that new beekeepers make and little bits of advice on how to avoid them. If you guys don't know me, I'm Mike, this is MJ Farmstead, and I'm going to be a 4th year beekeeper this year, and we are expanding our apiary at hopefully an alarming rate, and we're going to try to become a commercial operation with our honeybees. Let's get right into this video. Common newbie mistakes. I'm not a noob. I'm not a noob. Am I a newbie? What you guys might be thinking is you're going to get bees, it's going to be fun, you're going to get tons of honey, and that's not necessarily how it's going to go. I do encourage everybody, because the number one mistake is going to be lack of proper research and knowing the adequate and sufficient amount of time that you need to put into your bees every single year to get them to overwinter successfully and make it onto the second season, where you'll probably be getting your honey crop. A lot of the bullet points in this video will relate back to proper research, so let's get right into the next topic. So mistake number 2 is not knowing proper location for your colonies. I'm on a box and I'm not sure if it's going to fall apart on me. But not knowing the proper spot for your colonies, because I know I love standing in the 95-degree sun when my colony acts up and I have to go put on a full suit. But technically a full sun spot is going to be absolutely prime location for them. It's going to help them fight different pests and diseases, give them a little bit better ability to dry off honey faster, and in the winter it's going to be vital for them to maintain heat of the colony. I'm not sure if you guys heard that or not, but my goats are clacking horns back there. It can also help mitigate hive beetles and other nuisance pests that are common in bees. One of the third mistakes that beekeepers make is not having a proper hive inspection and maintenance protocol. It could lead to different pests such as the Varroa destructor mite, which can make colonies collapse, as well as not having proper and adequate ventilation during the winter months. That can cause an excess buildup of moisture in the hive, then freezing on top of the bees, not allowing them to make it. And when we have weak colonies, we have the chance of mold growth, and weak colonies won't handle mold, and it could also lead to more problems and complications with the bees. Also, going back to the research portion, knowing how to identify different diseases such as sackbrood or deformed wing virus, just to name a few, that's going to really play a vital role in whether your bees are going to be successful over winter or not. Another rookie mistake might be not doing regular hive inspections. It's going to link hand in hand with the neglect of hive maintenance. But if you don't inspect your hives, I would say at a minimum every 10 days, you're not going to know whether or not you have a queen. You're not going to know if you're honey bound, and you're not going to know if your hive might actually swarm on you, and you're going to lose 2/3 of the bees, then leaving this colony to not produce any honey for this season. Also, depending on where you are in the world will depend on how you go about feeding your bees, if you feed them at all. In warmer climates, you will have to feed your bees and supplement them with pollen and possibly sugar syrup, because those bees will be flying, they will be using energy, and you're going to need to mitigate that to allow them to do what they want to do, especially if you're in the middle of the winter time and you don't have any pollen or nectar coming in. Number 6 is going to be linked back to number 4. It's going to be swarm management. So knowing how to properly split your hives in the springtime is going to be vital to reducing numbers in that colony or equalizing one colony into another, allowing all your beehives to be on the same level, knowing that you'll put 1 or 2 supers on every single colony, and you're not going to have one that's going to need 10 supers and another one that's barely going to fill up one. Mitigating the swarm risk is going to keep the bees in the hive and keep your apiary growing. So that is something to be aware of, and definitely look into swarm management practices. There's so many. You can do splits, you could rear queens and break colonies down into multiple colonies, or you could do something that's called the Demarest split. If you've never looked into a colony of honeybees, you're not going to know what exactly you're looking at first. Usually what happens is they'll push all the honey up to the top, working the queen down to the brood nest area. What can happen is there's something called a dearth, which is the lack of incoming nectar. In that period, you're going to have your bees eating up all the resources that are inside this colony. So, knowing when to harvest your honey is going to be our next tip. is going to be absolutely crucial. This is going to go back to proper hive inspections and not neglecting to do it. I have gone into a colony once where they were almost filled up with honey in the super. I was just waiting for the moisture level to get down to the proper percentage. The following week that I went into them, all that honey was gone. I was not able to take a honey crop. Thinking back in hindsight, I could have harvested it, put it in my dehydrator room to reduce that moisture just a bit, and then been able to take that sweet honey reward for myself. Knowing how to properly take the honey without harming your bees is going to be a vital part of beekeeping. I've seen some people take leaf blowers and blow out the honey supers. There are different products called, I believe it's honey robber, where it's just some essential oil mix they put on the top cover. It works the bees down and away from the honey. Or you could always use a bee brush and brush them off, or use the shake method. But for the amount of bees, and I believe it's 1 bee for 1/12 of a teaspoon in its lifetime, that's how much honey they produce. For those bees to be working so hard, you want to make sure that you mitigate any risk of hurting them in the process of taking that honey. So knowing how to properly take that honey. So when we are harvesting our honey, it's important to store it in an as airtight container as we can get it. You don't want to heat your honey if you want to keep the raw properties of it, and you really don't want a lot of air getting in. What that will allow is the oxidation and crystallization process of your honey at a more rapid rate. So to make sure that you do that, you want to take all the necessary steps. I like to harvest and bottle everything out as quickly as possible, or sell bulk containers, to make sure that my honey gets to the consumer as quickly as possible before it takes any crystallization effect. A lot of honeys will have different properties, so whether it's a lighter, sweeter honey, it will take longer to crystallize. If it's stored in an airtight container, from the get-go, it should hold its liquidity. I like that word. But other than that, some honeys will crystallize faster than others. Some I've had that are probably 2 years old now and they have not even started to crystallize yet. It's all about keeping that exposure to air at a minimal level, and that's going to get you the best liquid honey for the longest amount of time. And as we... Oh, I just got electrocuted. That's going in the video. I stepped the line, I had this touch it, and I just got zapped. Anyhow, as we're leaving the apiary, let's get into tip number 10, and that is utilizing all the local resources that you can. Join a beekeeping club, guys. Get on beekeeping forums. BeeSource is a really good one. I like to go there. They have a lot of answers to questions that people have or have had, and you can join the community and ask questions. I also encourage you guys to ask questions in the comments here. I am more than happy to help you guys out. I've been keeping bees for 4 years. I've had successes, I've had failures, and I'm going to keep on pushing. So they say that the beekeeper usually won't make it past the 3rd year if they're not going to continue to pursue the hobby and the fun of beekeeping. I'm on my 4th year now. I know that I have 9 or 10 colonies that are still strong and viable. I've only lost 4 this year. That's not too bad on the percentage wise. So I encourage you guys to ask questions in the comments. Please, let's chat. If you guys want to DM me on Instagram or hit me up on a video on Instagram so we could chat one-on-one, I'd be more than happy to help you guys. And I'm going to put a video somewhere here. If you guys want to, see the next video, we're going to have the informative series, all the informative farm videos. Informative, I love my play on words. But I think that's it for today, guys. So wherever you guys are at, have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a great day.